this is our test, very first day test of this drone.
What drone do we have there?
This is the DJI Neo.
Yep, it's new to us, and I guess Neo means it's just new to everybody.
Well, Neo is kind of a different name, huh? It kind of reminds me of the Matrix, remember?
Maybe that's what they're going for.
Neo Matrix badass. It's pretty badass.
Edgy?
Edgy.
Well, you saw us unbox the drone. Now we're going to take it out for its first flight. How do you think it's going to do?
Well, maybe according to the name, it's going to be awesome.
Maybe. So what we're going to do is just follow the instructions that it gives you for the first flight. I noticed when you first set it up, after you activate the drone in the app, the first flight instructions come up on the app, and it walks you through it step by step, so it's really beginner friendly. This is not our first drone. We have a DJI Mini as well, and that's a great drone, does a lot of good things, but this drone so simple that it should be very useful on when we're out on a job, we're out on a trail, we're out doing this or doing that, and we want to just get a third angle. We should be able to just hit the button, let it take off and do its thing, right?
Yeah, so this is pretty exciting.
So for our first test, like I said, we're just going to do the basic thing that the app says to do, which is the follow me test, and we'll take it for a walk if it works.
Yep, take it for a walk, or will it take us for a walk?
We'll find out. Stay tuned.
Yep.
So here we go with footage from the DJI Neo. Straight out of the camera, straight out of the drone. And we're just taking a walk through the woods. What's your first impressions?
I think it looks really great.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I noticed is that it seems to be following pretty accurately. And of course, we really haven't tested that just yet, but I'm going to turn into the woods here off the trail. Now, we don't have any filters or anything. We haven't edited this footage, so it's right out of the drone.
Yep.
And
We wanted to show raw footage, so.
Yep. And we didn't even modify any of the settings yet. So in the settings on the app, you can change it to H.265 compression or leave it at default, which is H.264. So this is H.264. I'm not sure if there's a difference in quality one to the other. .265 makes smaller file sizes. So we are going to be using that. But we haven't changed that setting yet.
It seems to do pretty good maneuvering around the trees.
Yeah, it didn't hit that tree. Went right by it, but didn't hit it, so. Now I think this is a really high contrast situation with the snow. And maybe some of the highlights are a little overblown. So one thing I noticed is that straight out of the camera, and I think there's some commentary on this online too, that some of the highlights can be clipped in high contrast situations if you're not using a filter. And we do have filters for this, but we haven't tried them yet. And we bought the filters from Neewer. So we'll look into those and do some samples in the future to see how those perform and show that to you too. What do you think as it goes into the woods?
I think it looks really great.
So this is on the medium follow setting, right?
Correct.
Yep, so it doesn't follow too close or too far away.
Yep. Well, I was right behind it, and I got pretty close behind it. I wasn't sure how it would react, but ignored me, so.
Yep. So I think it has downward-facing sensors to see where it is above the ground. I don't think it has any sensors behind it, so it probably didn't even know you were back there.
Okay.
But when we started the flight, we were standing right next to each other, and it did seem to hesitate just a minute to lock onto me, but it did. I mean, just for a second. I don't think it was a minute, maybe a second or two before it locked on, but it didn't get confused even though we were right next to each other when we started flying.
And it is a little cool today. You can kind of tell by Dennis's breath that it is a little cold outside.
Yeah, the temperature when we were taking this walk, it's 15 degrees. I think that did impact the battery life just a little bit, but maybe not by very much, because I think you should get about 18 minutes of flight time, and I think we probably got 15 to 16, so I don't think the temperature really had much effect. So you can see that there are some corners that I take on the trail in the woods here. My impression was that it went around those corners pretty well. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely.
I wasn't sure how it was going to do with those.
Yeah, I think it did a really amazing job.
So here coming up, there's some sign of wildlife. Now, you saw the wildlife, didn't you?
I sure did. There was a spruce grouse in the woods that, previous to this clip, Dennis was looking back, and that's when I noticed the spruce grouse flying by.
And right there where I was pointing before was where the spruce grouse left its impression of its feathers as it sat on the trail. And then what I'm pointing at here are there's prints from the grouse and from a wild turkey in the snow. More grouse prints right there. So it was walking along the trail looking for something to eat probably.
We always love to show viewers the beauty of northern Wisconsin, even in the winter.
Whoa, it came really close to that tree.
Or maybe I should say especially in the winter. We do have some beautiful scenes in the winter time.
Yep, we have an awful lot of winter to show the scenes from.
Now coming up here is where the drone slightly hits a branch. I noticed it. So right here, this branch here.
So I'm trying to actually get the drone to move over a little bit right here, and I thought it managed it, but it didn't.
It was a very small hit, but didn't seem to impact it at all.
No, you can't even tell. If we didn't tell you about it, I don't think you'd notice it on the video.
Nope.
And I didn't hear any change in the motors when it happened. Just seems to be following along like no big deal. So here we are going out into the swamp that we have below our tree line. It gets a little more tough to walk through here. But the drone was at the right height at the default settings to go right over top of the tall grass. So it seemed to be perfect for this.
Of course, we'll be bringing you some more tests with the Neo in the future.
So now we're getting close. I didn't know at the time, but we were at this point getting pretty close to the end of the battery, right?
Yep, the battery life popped up on the screen saying, "Oh, pretty soon, land your drone."
So that meant the landing procedure, which is to turn around, look at the drone, and hold your hand out for it. Well, that's what happened. Denise told me that the battery was low, I should land the drone. And that's it. So how do you think the drone worked?
It seemed like it worked really great.
So it was kind of fun to use?
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So do you think we'll get some use out of it?
I think so. I think so.
Yeah. So now what?
Well, we hope that you enjoyed the footage, and please like, subscribe, and comment.
Yep. Thanks for watching, and you'll see more from the Neo drone in future videos. Thanks.
Bye-bye.